Okay, we're in Yud Gimel Yud Aleph.
Good. Okay. Gimel Yud Daled. Yud Aleph. Okay. Um, if one was competent and one was of deaf mute, and that the Yavam cohabitated with the competent one, and then the deaf mute or the brother cohabited with the deaf mute, he did not disqualify the competent one. If the Yavam cohabitated with the deaf mute and then with the competent one, or his brother then cohabitated with the competent one, he disqualified the deaf mute. If one was an adult and one was a minor, if the Yavam cohabitated with the adult and then with the minor, or if his brother then cohabitated with the minor, he did not disqualify the adult. If the Yavam cohabitated with the minor and then with the adult, or if his brother then cohabitated with the adult, he disqualified the minor. If Elazar says we teach the minor to refuse him. If a minor Yavam cohabitated with a minor Yama, they must wait for each other to grow up. If he cohabitated with an adult Yavama, he must wait for him to grow up. If a Yavama created within 30 days, he did not cohabitate with me. We coerce him to perform Kalitza with her. If she stated this after 30 days, we request of him that he perform Kalitza with her. However, if he admits to it, then even after 12 months, we coerce him to perform Kalitza with her. Okay.
Okay. Shenasa Pikachas. So now the Cheresh, as we know, is a deaf mute. He's unable to get married min Torah, but the Rabbanan said, okay, well, he's a guy. He can marry a woman. Just we have ways that he can do it. He can signal, and he can use hand signals or whatever to indicate that he wants to marry this woman. Okay, cheresh shenasa pikachas, upikach shenasa cheresh, and or the conversely, a normal guy marries a deaf mute woman. Imratza, let's see, right? If he's unhappy in the marriage, he may divorce her. Right? In the same way as the Rabbanan permitted the marriage by signaling, the Rabbanan also allow you to terminate the marriage by signaling. Imratzal yikayim. Kashem shu kones beremiza kachu motzi beremiza. Basically, that's exactly what I just said. That he can use signals in the same way to marry her as he can to divorce her. Okay. Now, what happens if things change? Pikach shenasa pikachas. A normal man marries a normal woman, and nischarsha, and then she lost her capacities. She became a deaf mute. Okay.
Excuse me 1 second. So are you on Yud Gimel, Yud Gimel?
No, I'm on your Dalit Aleph. Sorry, is that not? Did you? We were supposed that there was. You said you were done with the Chazaras, and I lost concentration, so I thought you had finished Yud Gimel.
The last one I did was Yud Gimel, Yud Gimel.
That's right. So we're now on your
Now,
Dalit Aleph.
yeah, I don't know what happened here, unless the pages are mixed up. Yud Dalet
Okay.
Aleph. That's
Yeah,
all
we're
right.
in your Dalit Aleph.
Yeah. It seems to be double pages here. That's what they
Okay. Okay, you got a double page. Fine.
it match up. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Um, okay. Anyway, so we're talking about the deaf mute who signals, and what happens if a person's wife became a deaf mute? So they married min Torah, and now she
Mhm.
becomes a chereshes. That's not a problem. Imratza yotzi, imratza yikayem. If he wants to divorce her, he can still do that, because min Torah, the divorce is something that's entirely on the responsibility of the man. Right. Right. This is the Mishnah is long before Rabbeinu Gershom, who said that a divorce has to be with a woman's consent. Just by the way, your kippah is folded over. Your kippah. You want to,
Uh,
yeah,
Try to be different.
look good for the cameras. Um, Nishtates. What happens, however, if a woman loses her mental faculties completely? She becomes a shota. Lo yotzi. He may not divorce her. Why? Because this would be considered a cruelty. At least a chereshes is able to look after herself, but if a woman becomes a shorter and she's not able to look after herself, and now her husband, who married her when she was competent, now he divorces her and says, okay, you're on your own.
Mhm.
That would be too much of a cruelty, and we say you can't divorce a woman like that. If necessary, I mean, again, the Mishnah is taken in a situation, talking in a situation where a man is allowed to take more than one wife. So, okay, so he'll hang on to that wife and get another wife. Okay, so Rabbeinu Gershom introduced the whole thing of again of that where it's we're no longer allowed to take more than one wife. Um, anyway, Nischarashu, but what happens in the reverse case? If the husband who was you had two normal people and the husband became cheresh or shnistata or he became a shote. Eno motzi olamis, he cannot divorce her because once he lacks they have a doraisa marriage, and once he lacks the faculty to divorce her, that's it. It's stuck until he dies. Um, and yeah, unfortunately, we have a friend who was in a marriage and her husband was having a mental breakdown. He was literally he was suffering from depression. His previous wife had died, and he was still totally hung up about that, and he was just like his mental facilities were just really going down the hill. And the rabbis said to our friend, "Get a divorce now. Just don't even try to think that you can save him from this, because if he gets committed and he loses his mental faculties, you're going to be stuck in this marriage forever." So she did. Anyway, Omar Rabbi Yochanan bin Nuri. מפני מה האישה שנסחרשה יוצאה והאיש שנסחרש אינו מוציא? Why is it, he says, that a woman who became deaf mute can be divorced, but a man who became cheresh cannot divorce? Well, אמרו לו, אינו דומה האיש המגרש לאישה המסגרשת. He says, well, they say obviously the man who divorces a woman is not the same as a woman who's divorced. Isha yotza liritzona v'shelo ritzana. A woman can be divorced against her will. But ish eino motzi ela liritzona. But a man um, must have das in order to perform a divorce. Yeah. Hey, Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgada ala ha'chereshes shesia aviha shehi yotza beget. So this comes, yeah. This is why you thought we were talking about adios, because I think this comes from this is quoted in Maseches Adios when we have somebody saying he's made on he says a Chereshes who her father married her off, right? So when a father conducts a marriage on behalf of his underage daughter, that's a marriage deraisa. Okay. And even though she's a Chereshes, if she had been an adult, she would not have been able to accept a Kiddushin Midoraisa. But her father did it, so that's Deraisa. Shehi Yotza Beget. And she's nonetheless able to be divorced with a get. And Amrullah. So the Chachamim said to not Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgada, but Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri in the previous Mishnah. Remember, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri in the previous Mishnah was trying to say, what's the difference between the man and the woman? They said, look, we have this Adis from Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgada. It says that this child could be divorced also with a get. This is exactly an example of what we were talking about when we were saying to you that a cheresh can be divorced, but a cheresh cannot. Okay. Gimel. Shnei achim chershim. All right, back into our fun combinations of brothers and sisters. But now we're adding in the little wrinkle that we're introducing some chereshim and shotim into the equation. So you got two brothers who are both chereshim, nisuim l'shtei achayos chereshos, and they're married to two also chereshes sisters. Um, or now we'll just throw all the combinations into it because they're all going to come out the same. Or l'shtei achayos pikchos, so they're married to two competent women. Or l'shtei achayos achas chereshes achas pikachas, one yes, one no. Or shtei achayos chereshos, or two sisters who are who are both chereshos, who nisuos the shtei achim pikrim, or the brothers are competent, or shnei achim chereshin, or to the two brothers who are chereshin, or one or shnei achim echad cheresh echad pikach. One of them is cheresh, one of them is not. The fact is, as long as there's one cheresh in the partnership, the marriage is at most rabban. Okay, because either the cheresh cannot do kiddushin properly or cannot accept kiddushin properly. So in both cases, the marriage is derabanan. Hare elu pochos min hachalitza min hayibum. So if one of these brothers die, the other one, his widow is pater from yibum and chalitza because in the same way as her marriage is derabanan, her brother's marriage is her sister's marriage is derabanan, and it plays out in exactly the same way as it does if you have marriages deraisa. It's she's an ereva achos ishto. V'im hayu nochrios, however, if the two wives were unrelated to each other, yichnosu, then the brothers are allowed to marry them, right? Using yibum if they want to. Im rotza lahatzi yotziu. And if they want to divorce them, then they're allowed to divorce them, and the story carries on as normal. And now we're going to see in the coming Mishnayos all these various combinations of what happens if you have mixes of Durabanan marriages with Doraisa marriages, and what happens in the resulting Yibum cases.
Just to make it more confusing. Okay. Okay.
But the fact is, it's if you hold on to your rule and you keep your two pairs of glasses on you, right? The Doraisa glasses and the Durabanan glasses, and you've got to make sure that the picture makes sense when you're wearing your Durabanan glasses and when you're wearing Doraisa glasses. It's got to make sense, and that's how you can see how you'll be able to work these things out all by yourself. It's not actually complicated. It comes across as complicated, but if you keep the rules in your head, then you'll be fine.
Okay. Yud Aleph Gimel.
Yeah.
The babies of five women became confused with one another, and they grew to adulthood and married and died. Four performed Kalitza and one widow, and one may perform Reuben with her, and he and three others performed Kalitza with another widow, and one may perform Reuben with her, thus four Kalitzas and one Reuben are performed with each widow. And a woman's baby became confused with her daughter-in-law's baby, and they grew to adulthood and married and died. The sons of the daughter-in-law performed Kalitza, but may not perform Yibum, because it is uncertain which is their brother's wife and which is their father's brother's wife. The sons of the grandmother, however, may perform either Kalitza or Yibum, since this uncertainty is which is their brother's wife and which is their brother's son's wife. If the certain ones died, the uncertain ones may perform Kalitza, but not Yibum. With the grandmother's sons, widows, because it is uncertain which is their brother's wife and which is their father's brother's wife, and with the daughter-in-law's sons, widows, one of the uncertain ones perform Kalitza, the other one may perform Yibum. If the child of a Kohen's wife become confused with a slave's child, they may both eat truma. They receive one portion of the threshing floor, but they may not contaminate themselves with the dead, and they may not marry either qualified or disqualified women. Okay. Okay. If they became adults and emancipated and each other, they may marry only women fit to marry a Kohen and may not contaminate themselves with the dead. But if they contaminated themselves, they do not incur 40 lashes. They may not eat truma, but if they ate, they are not required to pay the principal and the additional fifth. They do not receive a portion at the threshing floor, but they may sell truma and keep their proceeds. They do not receive a portion of the sacred temple objects, and we do not give them sacred objects, but what is theirs is not taken from them. They are exempt from giving the upper foreleg, the jaws, the stomach. His firstborn animals to be left to pasture until it becomes blemished, and both the stringencies which apply to Kohanim and those who apply to Yisrael are imposed upon him. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Hagiga. Dalet, what am I saying? Base Dalet. Which Shavuos falls on the eve of Sabbath. Beis Shammai says the day of slaughter is after the Sabbath. Beis Hillel says the day of slaughter is no. There is no day of slaughter after the Sabbath. They concur that if it fell on the Sabbath, the day of slaughter is after the Sabbath. The Kohen Gadol does not don his special garments on that day, and moreover, they are permitted to eulogize and fast in order not to confirm the view of those who say that Shavuos is always the day after Shabbos. We must wash the hands for unsanctified food, for Meiser, for Truma, and for Kodesh, we must immerse the hands. Regarding the water of cleansing, if one's hands become contaminated, his entire body is considered contaminated. If one immersed himself for unsanctified food and only intended to cleanse himself for unsanctified food, he is prohibited from eating Meiser. If he immersed himself for Meiser and only intended to cleanse himself for Meiser, he is prohibited from eating Truma. If he immersed himself for Truma and only intended to cleanse himself for Truma, he is permitted from eating Kodesh. If he immersed himself for Kodesh and only intended to cleanse himself for Kodesh, he is prohibited from touching water of cleansing. If he immersed himself for a more stringent matter, he is permitted to occupy himself with a less stringent matter. If he immersed himself without any intention, he is deemed as if he had not immersed himself.
Okay.
And Yoma. Okay, we have Gimel Tess. He then comes to the eastern part of the courtyard, north of the altar. The deputy Cohen to his right and the head of the family to his left. Two gates were there, two he-goats were there, and a lottery box was there in which the two lots. They formerly had been of boxwood, but Ben Gamma made them of gold, and they used to laud him. Ben Cotton made 12 spouts for the laver, and it was formerly only had two. He had made a machine for the laver so that his water should not become unfit by remaining overnight. King Monbaz made all the handles of the utensils used for Yom Kippur of gold. Helena made his mother place a golden candelabra over the entrance of the holy. He also made a golden tablet upon which the section of the Torah of the suspected adulteress was written. Nicanor, miracles happened to his doors, and they used to laud him. Those for censure. Those of the Gomer family did not want to teach outsiders about making the panim bread. Those of Donna's family did not want to teach them about making the incense. Ugros or Levi knew a special musical method, but did not want to teach it. Then Katzma did not want to teach the method of writing. About the first one that it said, the mention of the righteous man is a blessing, and about the other that it said, in the name of the wicked you will rot. Okay. Here we go.
Shavias.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. On to the page. What happened to my place mark?
We're in Yud Ches.
Okay. Place mark. You guess. If one had produce of the seventh year and beer
Yes,
time,
yes, sorry.
9. Okay. If one inherited 70 year produce or received it as a gift, Rev Eliezer says it should be given to
Stop,
whoever
stop. You're in the wrong chapter then. Chapter 10.
10. Where's my bookmark?
10, Mishnah 8.
Okay. A proselyte may be only written for land. If he has none, he gives him a night title to part, or however small of his own field.
No, we're not talking about Prosbul now. We want to be Mishnah number 8.
I went to 6.
Okay.
I need new glasses. If one repays his debt in the seventh year, he must remit it. If he said to him, even so, he may accept it from him since it is written, and this is the word of the release. Similarly, if a murderer went into exile to a city of refuge and the people of the city wanted to render him honor to him, he must say to them, I am a murderer. If they said, even so, he may accept since it is written, and this is the word of the slayer. Whoever repays a debt in the seventh year, the sages are well pleased with him. Whoever borrows from proselyte whose sons converted with him, they not pay the debt to his sons, but he repays it. The Gaskamen are pleased with him. All movable property is required by drawing it, and whoever keeps his word, the sages are well pleased with him.
Hadron Allah Masechet Shvius. Okay. One Mishnah from Chumos.
Five may not separate truma, but if they separate it, the truma is not truma. The deaf, mute, the imbecile, the minor, and the one who separates from what not is his, what from what is not his. If a non-Jew is separated from what belongs to a Jew, even with his permission, his truma is not truma. Okay.
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 Helem.
Halem. We have Lamed base. A looking glass is Torah, but a glass dish that one made into a looking glass is Tameh. If the glass was a, this was originally made to serve as a looking glass, it is tahor. Regarding the spoon that one places on the table, if it contain any minute amount, it is tameh. But if not, Rabbi Kiva moves it tameh, but Rabbi Kanan Nuri moves it tahor. Cup, the majority of whose circumference chipped away is tahor. If it became chipped with three chips around the majority of its circumference, it is also tahor. Reb Shimon says if the cup has leaked the majority of the water, it is tahor. But if the cup developed a hole and repaired it whether with tin or with pitch, it is tahor. Yossi says if he plugs it with tin, it is tameh, but if with pitch, it's tahor. A small glass bottle whose neck was broken off is tameh, but a large bottle whose neck was broken off is tahor. A bottle for balsam oil whose neck is broken off is tahor because that will scratch one's hands. Large glass jars are mouths whose mouths broke off are tameh because one sets them aside for pickled things. A grinding funnel made of glass is tahor. And Rabbi Yossi says, "Fortunate are you, Kalim, you have entered in tuma, but exit in tahara." Hadran
Allah, Maseches Kalim. Okay, that was a long stretch.
um, Shavuos.
That's it.
Okay,
Oh, we didn't
Shavuos.
finish yesterday. I beg your pardon. It was my mistake.
As well.
We
If
finished
he
Shavuos and Shavuos on the same day. Okay.
Um, if he said to him, "Where is my bill?" and he replied, "I don't know what you are talking about," whereas in fact he died, he broke a limb, was captured, stolen, or lost, and he said to him, "I adore you," and he replied, "Amen." He is liable. I adore you, and he replied, "Amen." He is liable. And if one said to a patron or to a renter, "Where is my bull?" and he replied, "It died," where in fact it broke a limb, or was captured, or he replied, it broke a limb," whereas in fact it died and was captured, or he replied, "It was captured," where in fact it died and broke a limb, or he replied, "It was stolen," where in fact it was lost, or he replied, "It is lost," whereas in fact it was stolen, and he said to him, "I adore you," and he replied, "Amen," and he is exempt. But if he replied it died, it broke a limb, or was captured, whereas in fact it was stolen or lost, and he said to him, "I adore you," and he replied, "Amen," he is liable. If he replied it is lost, or it was stolen, whereas in fact it died, broke a limb, or was captured, and he said to him, "I adore you," and he replied, "Amen," he is exempt. This is the rule. Whoever changes from one liability to another liability, from one exemption to another exemption, or from exemption to a liability is exempt. From liability to an exemption is liable. This is the rule. Whoever swears to make it more lenient for himself, he is liable to make it more stringent for himself, is exempt. I do not.
Allah, Maseches Shavuos. Okay,
So,
that's 300
Oli-
alas in one day. Okay.
Olios,
Eidos.
that's the one I couldn't find, but I don't know why I can't find
Okay,
it.
never mind. So Shammai Omer Kol Anashim Dayan Shatan. So all women, if they see if they see a stain, then that's they only have to count themselves as tame from then onwards. Hillel Omer Mipekida Lepekida Afilo Yamim Harbe. Says no, you have to go back to the last time that that she checked herself, and everything that she touched thereafter is tame. Chachamim omrim lo kedivrei zeh v'lo kedivrei zeh. It's we don't hold by either Hillel or Shammai. Ela me'es le'es me'etes al yedei mekida. It says we go like Beis Hillel, but no more than 24 hours. So we don't suspect that more than 24 hours ago is when she came on. If a woman has a set time when she comes on, then exactly that time is enough because we can presume that she keeps coming on at the same time. If a woman has relations using bedika cloths before and after, that is exactly like an examination, and it reduces the time from when she came on. If she later does come on, we know that it can reduce that time from the 24-hour maximum. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Have a great Shabbos.
You
Enjoy. I'll
too.
see
Good Shabbos. See you on Sunday.
you. Bye.